And joining us online, we have our speaker for this portion, Mr. Illac Diaz, the founder of Leader of Light Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen.
People talk about climate change, but in my country, we are being hit here and now. It's not like we have a lot of time.
We in the Philippines are in the front lines of a lot of climate change issues.
Hindi natin maitatanggi na nandun tayo sa typhoon path. Pag dumating yung disaster, sinong tatamaan? Yung nakatira sa barong-barong.
Floating plastic blocked the drainage, raised the water. This is exactly what caused the floods. How do we take that something that is one of the largest problems, and how do you make it into something that solves things? And I told them, just wait for a while and we will come up with something that you've never seen before.
Noong Disyembre, sa tulong ng proyektong Leader of Light, ay nabigyan ng libreng solar light bulbs ang mga lugar na sinalanta ng bagyong Yolanda.
These people, they do things with everyday items with this kind of simple idea.
It's a bottle full of water. The light would be able to enter through the bottle and lights up a 35 square meter house.
The user should be the front and center of the design process. Sila yung gagamit eh.
Dati kami nasa madilim dahil gasera nga lang ginagamit namin, bibili pa kami ng gas.
Everything is first world model, but what would a development world model look like?
We have the opportunity to test technologies, and we're doing that. Climate change cannot be small time. We have to think ambitious.
Let's think of it bigger. Can it be possible in every city in the Philippines? And can this be something that can be happening everywhere in the world?
Well, thank you everyone for allowing me to have this kind of catalyst to work with the industry. I want to tell you a little bit more about us, and hopefully through these ideas we can see how we can reach more of the 13 million Filipinos that don't have access to electricity. So we want really to be a partner with you in what we call the largest net zero campaign in the country. Now, one of the things that we do really is we use whatever is possible to give access to electricity. We really began with one of the darkest moments in our country, which is Typhoon Haiyan, which happened 10 years ago. 10,000 deaths, and of course 4 million houses. And as early as then, I realized that the people that most were able to help us were, of course, corporates. So we were faced with a situation that was a very rural areas, the people most vulnerable and unable to be able to adapt to these climate changes are really on the periphery, the coastal areas, the mountainous areas, mostly away from the city. So one of the things we did was build what is called Leader of Light, where we could build local lights without having to do imported, patented, and expensive. So we use local parts, LEDs from motorcycles, MOSFETs from radios, not necessarily plastic bottles, but one of the things that we realized was corporates was a great way for us to be able to build even without factories. We started using like a Gawad Kalima method, where the corporates would buy the materials and we would have this army of volunteers to help us put together the solar lights. So not only food, water, but now instead of using kerosene, we would be able to engage the corporates to be able to give 30 minutes of their time to be able to build lights, solar lights, for 5 years of use. When I say 5 years, that also means that these are fixable. The batteries are what is used for vape, which unfortunately is very prevalent around the country. And everything's fixable. Now, because of this, we were able to bring all of these lights to the rural areas and shift out the kerosene. So what was really a burden for them to keep on buying kerosene to keep their lights lit in the village, sometimes as high as 36% of their income is just to spend on this kind of access to power using carbon-based fuels or wood. We could now shift them to solar. Once again, a very interesting way is a lot of institutional knowledge was kept not in Manila, but it was kept with some of our rural partners, which were resorts. So we kept some of the spare parts over there, as well as also teaching the villagers how to be able to use it and fix it. So we were transferring knowledge really to the periphery on how to be able to do it. We were very pleased to know that when we were published by several international newspapers and TV, we started to spread our influence to other countries, really using that capacity of using local parts. So we do, of course, bamboo, we do bamboo. We're known for the plastic bottle because basically there is no glass injection over there. But there's such a huge waste of plastic bottles that we use it as a way for having a clear container load. We're also, we also use pottery. So you have to understand that one of the things that we do is we try to make ourselves obsolete. We try to move the technology to rural areas so that they can buy it locally if possible. Or if not, we ship it to partners that are within the vicinity so they can maintain their access to this kind of parts. We also do, of course, in many areas around the world, public lighting to lessen crimes against women and children. So we teach them how to make solar lights all by hand. This is, our operations in Kenya. We're actually in 32 countries around the world. So a lot of our movement is really hyper-local, and when I say hyper-local, the knowledge how to fix it, how to rent it, is through the people themselves. They don't have to go all the way to Manila to be able to fix it, or all the way to the capital city, but at the same time they can get the parts. So once again, we use bus networks to be able to ship with our local partners, sometimes government, but in many areas around the world, we partner with the local tourism group because they have these areas. Now, one of the things that is really interesting, and we do it with guests, not in the Philippines but in other countries, is we challenge them to give 30 minutes of their time to light up somebody's lives for the next 5 years. So we have this challenge called the Light It Forward Challenge, where one guest challenges another guest how to make lights. So they're sometimes teaching each other, or there's somebody who's in charge. Sorry, I have 3 minutes. But once, hundreds of guests come together, we also do some of the largest solar logos for the companies, or the tourism group, or for the local government. This is our, takeover, let's say, for Bonifacio, where we asked we got 2,000 youth from around the buildings, around the residents. We work also with different hoteliers. And of course, we had also on-the-ground locals that made people build these solar lights. So it could be as an advertising angle. And all of these lights, of course, afterwards are donated to the rural areas that we work with. So it enhances our stock. We can make some of the largest words. So there are areas in Italy that we ask, let's say in Como, where we ask them to make solar lights. And of course, they can make these solar messages. So this is in Italy, Castello Sforzesco, where we had 500 youth build them. So we are basically bottom-up, interactive. We teach people how to make the solar lights. But also it helps us also in times of calamity, especially with corporates, because we have no factory to help us build thousands of lights without having a factory. We also engage in some of the biggest UNESCO sites. So we're given access to Paris. And our latest one really was we got 2,000 plus tourists to be able to build solar lights as we lit up the Giza pyramid. So this kind of hands-on, locally built, local activity is something that we're hoping to interact. But mostly, once again, these are just campaigns. But our end goal really is to be able to take all of that and give it to women entrepreneurs in the rural areas to shift away from selling kerosene to renting out solar lights, renting out the street lights, and of course mobile chargers. So we're trying to shift this kind of dependency on carbon-based and expensive, expensive access to electric lights, and we want to partner with the tourism industry in any way possible, either asking their guests to build it or building logos for them. But at the end, 90% of our costs should go to the locals to be able to shift into clean energy. So very excited to be here. Very excited that you gave me an opportunity. But once again, I am just small. We're a staff of about 60 in Manila. But access to electricity and the future of giving green jobs is really our partnership with you. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy our solar logo. And of course, you can do workshops, and we hopefully will work with you as we shift into this clean energy and clean jobs from the bottom up. Thank you very much.